everyone, I'm Caroline Rena and welcome to Silent Voices. I'm here with my awesome partner, Don McCarty, and today we're going to be talking some more about healing with everything going on right now around us and what it takes to get through what's happening in a calm way as much as possible. And what's important that I'm recognizing is that as people, sometimes we don't feel like we are heard or seen, and there are things that we have to say, that we need to say to be heard. And there is I don't know what the best word to use is, there's a process that we have come across from Alyce Tobler.
Yes. Yep.
And it is called SEMPI. And I want Don to introduce what SEMPI is, because I really think that this is going to help open up communication between each one of us as individuals, no matter who we are, what we do, what we're going through, because in the long run or in the big picture, we all have the same feelings that are coming out, whether it's anger or fear or sadness or whatever is going on. And this particular process will help us to connect and work through those feelings that are all coming up. So Dawn, can you start explaining what
Sure.
SEMPI is, please?
So it's called the SEMPI Social Communication Model, and it was designed by Alyse Price-Tobler, who is a clinical psychotherapist with a master's degree in counseling and psychotherapy. She's worked on this for about 6 years developing it. She also works in the mental health and disabilities field and on the front line in Australia. So what this is it's a communication model that helps you have a conversation with somebody that kind of balances the power. So we don't have an imbalance in a conversation. It balances the power so there's no struggle when you're communicating. And this is actually going to help bring our communities closer together. It helps build resilience. It gives a deeper level of communication and maybe teaches some skills on how to actually communicate. And it also can save lives. So we are sharing this with everybody. We want to teach our communities how they can have a communication with people that are struggling. And we have a lot of people, especially right now, struggling in the world. And sometimes they just need to be heard, but we need to balance that power. We need to be eye to eye on an even ground, an equal footing. So we're going to go through this model, and I'm going to share it and teach Caroline as we're doing it. So do you have anything?
Yeah. Before you get started, like the whole equal footing, I wanted to bring up something that we had talked about before we started, is that, there's not all of us agree on everything ever, because we're all different people and we're all not going to have the same agreements.
You're not designed to.
Right. We all have our different perceptions. We all come into a relationship or a conversation with different ideas, different things like that. But if we can learn how to communicate, then we can learn kindness. We can learn empathy. We can learn how to listen to people who just want to be understood and heard.
Right.
And I just wanted to kind of add that in there because, with what's happening right now, there's so many, like for me, I'm going to just be blunt about this. I mean, I've been going on a roller coaster ride for the past few days, and I go from, because I can literally feel the energy out there and the panic and the, all this stuff that's going on. And we actually right down the street within 3 miles had a protest happening, where I live, and it's like I'm going through fear. It's scary to think that all this stuff is going on around us. And it's like, what can I do? And the challenge with social media is there's an expectation that everybody gets out there and yells and screams and, protests and this and that and this and that. That's not who I am. So being out there doing that is not going to help things for me, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to contribute in that way. And so not everybody can contribute that way. And it's okay that you can't contribute that way. So I sit back right now and push out little bits, little teeny bits, and try to figure out where I can contribute. So when Dawn and I got to this point for this week's Silent Voice show, yeah, thank you for speaking for me. When we got to the point for this show,
we're finishing each other's sentences.
I know, they're twins now, yay! We just got to the point where we were like, well, how can we take this to help people to see that, you know, whatever you're doing is fine if you are thinking about how to make changes, or for yourself, to help other people make changes, to support other people who are going through this, you know, our Black communities who are going through this, whatever it takes. I mean, something that as simple as, if you see somebody, a Black person on the side of the street, and they are having a hard time with this, all you have to do is ask them if they're okay. And that's what this Senpai model is all about.
And that's a great segue into this next part, where our community members have, you know, they can easily and now sincerely hold space for people that are not okay. And usually when we ask somebody, are you okay? And they say yes, we're like, oh, phew. You know, but what if they say no? What do you do?
If they don't
What do
mean
you
it when
say?
they say yes, though, can you pick that up, right?
Huh?
What if they don't mean it when they say yes?
Well, that's the thing, is most of the time we say, yes, I'm fine. And in the fine lines of the word fine is, no, I am, you know, not okay. I'm stressed. I have anxiety. I have whatever. But we're all, you know, taught to hold that in and, you know, not share that with everybody. But when someone, if you go up to someone and you say, are you okay? And they say no.
Right.
What do you retreat? Do you like, whoa, I'm out? Okay, everything was fine until you said no. That's where we need to learn how to actually have a very deep and meaningful conversation to help work through whatever this person may be going through. And this can be done on so many levels. It can be done with 5-year-old children. There's a model of this that is specifically for children, and they can sit with their grandparents, maybe that are in, let's say, hospice or a nursing home or whatever, and they can actually have a very deep and meaningful conversation, but even though there's a big age gap in there. So this model is basically, it's a free model. It's more of a pay it forward kind of altruistic method of, you know, sharing it. So there's no costs, it's free. All you need to do is have someone show you how to use it, and then you turn around and you show someone else how to use it, and we just keep paying that forward. And this is how this model has gotten in, you know, countries all over the world. It's used in a lot of our military, especially in Iraq. It's used in our education system. Now, Alyse is actually based out of an area close to Sydney, Australia. But we use this in our education systems right here in the United States, and so do other countries. So this model has, you know, spanned the globe and is teaching people all over the place how to deal with people that are not okay. Mm-hmm. And like the Philippines, for example, are going through some really severe devastation in the, you know, the crisis with COVID, and, you know, the doctors, they've lost so many doctors, and people are just not okay. So now this has gone through, she spent a whole lot of time teaching the Philippines how to use this model. So it really it should be everywhere. Everybody should be using this, but we got to get it out there. We got to teach everybody how to use it. So first responders use this as well. It's a really good tool for first responders to use. So we're going to take this step by step, and we're going to actually do a little role playing with it. And Caroline is going to be the one answering the questions. So we're going to start off. Let me share my screen. And I'm only going to share parts of the screen so that we can focus on.
I just want to throw in while you're doing that. I will be answering the questions, but if there's something I can also, as a not the person answering the questions, but just kind of help out with different ideas on how to do certain things. What was the wording on that one, Dawn? I am not able to talk tonight. Just to kind of give suggestions on how to deal with some of these things if the answer is yes. So
yeah, and you know, some of these questions may not really apply to you. Okay, so there are two models. We're going to go through the adult model. There's also another model for children. If we have time, maybe we could go through that. But right now we're going to focus on the adult model. So I'm going to start asking questions. Let me get this up a little bit so we can see it. Okay. So first I'm going to ask Caroline if she's okay. So Caroline, are you okay?
yeah, for the most part.
Okay. How was your sleep overall the last night or week?
It's been okay. I mean, last night I kind of woke up with a pinched nerve in my neck, and I was up for a few hours, so that didn't help, but I don't know what's going on with that right now. So,
Yeah.
you know, not great, but not terrible.
Now, at this point, when you're asking questions, you might feel like saying something, oh, maybe you slept wrong. You don't want to say that. You don't want to say anything because that takes the balance of power out. And you want to make sure we're maintaining that balance of power and that the communication is all about focusing on what she's going through. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut and not ask that question. I'm just going to simply move to the next question.
That's funny because it's almost like the Native American talking circles where you use a talking stick. So
Yeah.
I'm holding the talking stick.
I'm just asking the questions. I'm not interjecting anything that I'm thinking in my head.
Exactly.
So my next question now is, when you started to go to sleep, did any thoughts keep you awake?
No, not really. I don't think so.
Okay. Would you like to talk about any of these thoughts if you did have any? So let's say she may have, this would be the next question that you would ask. You can just say, well, if you don't have any thoughts that you want to talk about, so are you feeling safe where you sleep?
Yes, I'm feeling safe. Right.
Okay. And does anything wake you up?
Not really.
Okay. Are you feeling calm about sleeping, or do you need some extra support?
I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm calm.
Okay. If you needed support, what do you feel would help you? That was hard to, I didn't read that.
Just probably for someone to just hear me or listen to what's happening if there was something going on.
Okay. So extra talking time. So you just basically explained that you might need extra support in being heard. So extra talking time. And you, depending on how you answered, you could ask do you need to see a healthcare professional? Mm-hmm. And if you said yes, then we would move to that next step and go to see a healthcare professional. So now that one's done, if I'm helping Caroline, I could move to the next group. If we're building and working on communication, we could have her turn around and ask me those same questions that I just asked her. So you can do it one of those two ways. But let's keep moving on, talking to Caroline. So the SEMPI model, I hope I said that earlier, about how it stands for, did I explain that?
You didn't go through the whole thing. You just went through the first one. I mean, you can go through the...
I'll keep that one in the first one. And then, okay, so the next acronym, or the next letter in this acronym of SEMPI is E, and E stands for your emotion, the need for love, empathy, and to matter. So we're going to move through these questions now. Okay, Caroline, are you feeling any upsetting emotions? Would you like to share them with me?
Yeah, I think the biggest one I'm feeling is scared. I don't know if I'm really angry, but I'm frustrated, which is probably angry that that things just can't come to a place of understanding easily with the way things are in the world right now.
Right. And here I'm going to move right to the next step and not interject I'm not going to feed back into the conversation. I'm just going to move right to the next question. Are you needing any extra support with your emotions?
Yeah, probably. I think though that I do have my own, well, I have some days I have my own ways of taking care of my emotions, but some days I just feel like I need someone there to just hold me or hold my space, just to listen and just kind
So
of,
that's the type of support you feel you would
yeah,
need?
yeah, just to hear.
Okay. Are you having any thoughts about harming yourself?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So this number 5 is if yes. So she said no. So I'm going to skip 5 and I'm going to go to 6 and say, would you like me to help you find professional help?
No, I don't think I actually need professional help. It's just sometimes I feel like I just need companionship or somebody to just kind of go over the rough spots with. I don't think I need anything more than that.
Okay. Again, 7, if she said yes, we could call a professional together. But since she said no, I'm going to move on to 8 and say, how best can I help support you during this time?
You know, sometimes I think the best support is just someone holding me so I can cry and just let it out. Because generally when I cry, I feel a lot better afterwards and then I can kind of move forward. But just having somebody there to do that for me is really important for me.
Right. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next letter in the acronym of SEMPI, and that is M. And M stands for meals and clothing. And this is the need for water, food, and clothing.
Dawn, this is hard to go through because it does bring stuff up as the
Yeah.
person answering the question. So yeah, and I do feel like I'm being heard. It's just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, and that's the important part is that you're feeling heard. You're not feeling like you're invisible. You feel like you can actually use your voice. That's what this is really working you into, is using your voice, not mine.
Well, and for me, that's an emotional thing because it's so important to be heard. That's the key. It's like I literally, when I was answering the emotion stuff, I felt like something could come up and I was trying to suppress it because I didn't want to do it on here, but stuff was coming up when you were asking me that. So that's good, because if it actually did come up, maybe I should have just let it, but if it actually did come up, then, you know, somebody's there to
Yeah.
support me through it, you know, so
Right.
that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's for meals, meeting your needs, actually. Meals and clothing. Sorry. Yeah, meals and clothing, the need for water, food, and clothing. So, have you had enough to eat or drink today?
Yeah, I think most of these are probably going to not be relevant for me, but if you want to just go through the
Yeah,
questions or
let's still go through them so other people can see. And maybe you could say, you know, yes, we can kind of role play that out on some of them.
yeah, okay. Yeah. Yes, I have.
Okay. Do you have enough clothing to keep you warm or cool?
Yes, but it's interesting because during the whole pandemic thing, some of my clothes started tearing, and I try to stay minimalist on clothes, and they started tearing, and I couldn't go anywhere to get anything.
Oh,
So,
no.
but other than that, I'm good.
Well, do you feel safe or free to ask for food, water, and clothing?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I've really ever had to do that before, but I think I'd be okay to ask.
Okay. Are you warm enough at night?
Yes.
Huh?
I
Do
live in
you,
Florida. Sorry.
do you need some practical support?
Um, no, I'm good. I'm good with that.
Okay. So if she had said yes, we could ask, what sort of support do you feel would help you?
Probably somebody to help get food, you know, some
Yeah.
food.
So this could be along the lines of somebody that might be homeless, or somebody that have maybe lost, or you know that kind of thing. We want to make sure everybody has enough food, enough water, and things to keep them warm. You know, we don't know what their situation is, so that's why we're asking some of these questions. So then number 7 is, extra time, extra talking time, as far as what would you need for support, buying food, clothing, or blankets. So you could ask them, are these what you need? And then number 8 would be, would you like to get some food or water, clothes or blankets when we finish SEMPI? So depending on what you needed. Then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now let me flip this over and we'll go up. Whoops, up. Okay, so now we're on P. P is for physical health, the need to feel physically well. So how is your physical body feeling?
Ooh, well, aside from the neck, a little tired, I think, because of all the stuff going on. I'm just kind of worn out. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Are you noticing unusual symptoms and or any pains?
Nope, just my pain in the neck.
Okay. Is there an area that stands out? So it's your neck on this one. Moving to the next one. Do you have any other physical symptoms you would like to talk about?
No, not really.
So this particular portion could focus on abuse of any type of abuse. So do you need to see a healthcare professional?
I don't know.
Have enough money to seek help?
No.
Do you have enough money for medication if you needed it?
No.
Do you need extra talking time or more ongoing support?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to keep going because we're just listening. I'm just listening to what she's saying. So now we're going to I. I is the inclusion in community, the need to be included. And we all have this one. We all need to feel included. So are you feeling part of your community?
Most of the time, yeah. Some days, no.
Okay. So you're feeling included or left out? Are you lonely?
Yeah, I think the loneliness comes because sometimes I don't think that people understand me or, like how I feel.
So they don't understand the story behind your feelings?
No.
Okay. Is this experience hard or upsetting for you?
Sometimes, yeah, I think so.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about to me now?
No, not really.
Are you feeling settled or do you need some extra support?
Well, I mean, these questions are kind of bringing up things that I didn't know were coming up, so I guess I could use some extra support.
So what sort of support would you feel would help you?
Well, usually the support that helps me is just for you to kind of sit there and just be there for me. I don't really want to say anything. I just want you to be there,
So not necessarily extra time talking or seeing a professional, you just need to not be alone. Of course,
Yeah.
there I interjected, so that's what we don't do.
Okay, there's a good example.
That's a good example. Zip it. Yeah, so you can see as we walk through this, now some of it doesn't really apply because you're not in, may not be in a situation that you feel that some of these would apply, but some of them did apply to you.
Mm-hmm. And it's true though. I mean, I'm going to say this again from the emotion section. It's like just the fact that you're even asking me these questions is very connecting for me. And I can feel inside of me that like, if I had something to talk about, I would want to talk about it. But
you would feel comfortable talking about it if you needed to with me by the way I was asking these questions?
Yeah. I think
feel
that
intimidated or
no, not at all. I mean, there's some things, and because I'm not in a lot of the spaces that the questions ask, I guess I'm in a good space except for emotionally. And the couple of them that I have, for me, I work on those on a daily basis anyway. But but for someone who doesn't have that option and doesn't feel supported, doesn't feel like they're part of a community, doesn't feel like their physical health is helping, because I mean I'd like to talk about that, like the the mind-body connection is so closely related that whatever you're feeling emotionally will cause symptoms of feeling sick physically. And when you feel sick physically, then you get emotional because it either makes you angry because you're sick, or it makes you sad, or you're like scared or whatever. So the two of those kind of go together. So those were two kind of maybe more powerful for me to walk through that than the other ones, because they're so well connected, you know?
Yeah. So you'll see when Alyse will say things like, how are you today? Or are you okay? And if you say no, then she'll say, how's your senpai? And you'll see in a lot of her posts, that's her question, it's her tag, how's your senpai? So we're checking in with each other all the time now. And once you start sharing this, you start asking, how's your senpai? And then people start realizing what that means. And it becomes a community built on communication.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in the same area.
Right. I mean, the Zoom's good for this stuff too, but yeah, I just also see it for the disenfranchised, you know. I mean, the people out there, anybody, even in our community with alienation, people who don't feel like they're heard because of things that are happening around them, you know, with alienation or whatever. There's an opportunity in any aspect. I don't even want to stick with alienation based off of what's happening right now in the world. It's like there's so many different
for everybody
that are causing, you know, regeneration of these traumas that we've all been going through. It's like we need to communicate with each other. We need the help. We need the support. We can't isolate and expect to get through that by isolating. It's so important, you know. I mean, what she's done, what Alyse has brought out by doing this is something that I can't even imagine the changes that it could bring. I mean, so you're saying it's already done that, and I didn't, you know, I knew little bits and pieces of it, but I didn't know this, you know. And it's like, holy crap, this is some big stuff. Especially, you know, just the other day I was watching, of course I'm on Facebook too. I don't watch the news, but because that's too much. That's not appropriate really for me, because half of the time I don't really believe that they're saying truth or whatever. But with a few days ago, it was like, I don't remember where it was, but instead of doing a rally or a protest or whatever, there was a location where the police chief and the people in that area end up getting together and having a picnic with food. And they sat down and they talked to each other face to face, across from each other, the police across from the people, and they listened. If they brought this, that would be like amazing. I can't even imagine how powerful that would be.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
definitely need that.
as it was, but holy crap, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the people need to be heard, and they need to be taken seriously, and we need that balance of power.
Especially when we feel disenfranchised.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so important to do things like this for people, to be that person for people. And if you're the person that needs to be heard, you know, sometimes our stories are important, but if you keep talking about your story, you kind of get like stuck in the story. But if somebody is having a communication like this with you, you're still being heard, but we're not talking about your story and regenerating all those, you know, feelings that are brought up from that story. Instead,
it's a deeper level of communication.
Yeah, it like
deeper meaning. Yeah,
it goes in to find out like what's really going on with you. It's like, yeah, that story happened, but what do you feel? What's happening?
Yeah. So if you would have said, yes, I do want to speak with a professional, I do need medical help, then that's where we take you. You were able to feel comfortable to tell me, yes, I need help. You know, let's say in the example, let's say that you said yes. So that's the empowerment. You were empowered to tell me, yes, I need this. Yes, I need that. Or, you know, yes, my body hurts. Yes, it hurts, you know, here. And then, you know, Alyse has examples of where in schools and stuff that's a very, I forget the word that she used, but it's a very good tool to find out what's going on with children. You know, imagine if you ask a child that was being sexually abused, where do they hurt? Is there a body part that hurts?
Yeah.
You know, you can find out because this gives them the power to speak. You know, you're not asking them a straightforward question. You're asking them how they feel.
Right. And it actually gives people permission to speak. Like people, you brought up the children, and they have the sheet for the children. But what about like people, domestic violence victims, where they want to say something, but if they say something, they're going to get hurt. But if they're
you ask them these questions,
right, if they're in a space where they feel safe and you're asking them these questions, then, you know, I mean, there's a ground rule or a foundational rule here that what stays in this environment, it's right here between you and me, or, you know, between this group or whatever. It doesn't go outside of here. We will help you. You know, so not to feel like you can't go or leave the environment that you're in, or, you know, whatever, because of fear. Now you have a support system because someone is talking to you and can get you more help, you know, or whatever that looks like. But yeah, I still see this as incredible. I mean, I think we have a little bit of time to go over the kid one again, but maybe we don't have to go through it as a practice.
One other thing I wanted to add to what we were just saying is we know a lot of people in the PA community that are so distraught that are, you know, end up taking their life. And I wonder if we were to have this model readily available in this community where other people could check in with them and ask them these questions, if that would change their, you know, what happens. I mean, it's definitely something worth trying, and maybe we can save lives that way too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, well, you can't ask somebody who's thinking about it but I mean, just even having feedback on what this would mean to people, you know, to be heard. Nobody hears us. Nobody hears us. Nobody wants to listen. And that's usually when we feel unheard. We repeat, we continuously keep saying the same thing over and over again until somebody hears us. Well, here's your opportunity to be heard, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to do that. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So this one's the one for the children, and I think it's for ages about 5 and up that, you know, that have used this model. And according to Alyse, they really get into this. And then once they learn it, they just start going off and they ask everybody, how's your senpai? How's your senpai? They learn this so fast. It spreads like wildfire because it empowers these children to have a voice. And they love it. And children need a voice. So this one talks about, you know, a lot of the same questions, just more in a level that a child can understand and verbalize better. So how did you sleep last night? Are you having trouble going to sleep? Did you get enough sleep? And did you have any dreams that you would like to talk about? Did something wake you up? Do you feel safe where you sleep? That's a big question for a child, you know, because some things happen when they're sleeping. Would you like to talk more about sleep, or would you like to talk to an older person to help? And if they were in a position where they needed help, all they have to do is say yes or no. So that this really kind of is insightful, depending on who's asking these questions. So then moving on to the emotion side is still the need for love, empathy, and to matter. So asking a child, and another child can ask this, they can also ask their grandparents this. So there's no age requirement on each of these cards. It's just a matter of who's asking the question. So a child is actually asking these questions to whomever. How does your body feel? Is it happy, sad, calm, mixed up inside? Or are you happy, sad? Are you upset, excited, worried, or angry? Are you lonely, embarrassed, shy, or scared? How does this make you feel? Would you like to talk to me or with me again soon? Do you have any friends you are worried about? And would you like an older person to help? Now, these questions are all the emotions that children deal with and do not know how to express unless they're asked explicitly, you know, are you calm? Are you mixed up inside? Are you upset? Are you embarrassed? This might help them figure out, well, yeah, I was embarrassed. Something embarrassed me, or I'm shy or whatever. But when you ask them, do you have any friends you are worried about? She has actually been told by other children that, yes, I'm worried about my friend who, you know, said that they were going to commit suicide. This is so empowering for a child to be able to talk to somebody in that position, and they may end up helping to save their life.
Mhm.
A small child can do that.
Yeah, that's really great. I'd like to add something before you move over though, because I do a lot of work, as you know, with I do a lot of inner child work with my clients and friends, and self. And I'm noticing though that, you know, like when we've been traumatized, we get stuck at a certain age, and that age, as our inner children don't know how to handle whatever that situation was that happened to us when we were little. So we take that age, we get stuck there, and we take that age into our adulthood, and it basically runs our lives, that particular child. So what's interesting is about, I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, I could never, as an adult, I could never, unless you asked me specifically, tell you what my emotions were, because they were all mixed up.
Yeah.
And so even asking this during a healing session, doing work with your inner child, this is a good question to ask, you know, because if somebody asked me if I was all mixed up inside, that's probably what I would have said.
Yeah.
But nobody asks that to an adult because they think that an adult understands. But when your inner child has been harmed, they don't understand, because the inner child is the one that's running your life. And that's the one that's confused. And that's the one that goes into flashback. And that's the one that goes into, you know, these emotional upheavals. I call them PTSD reactions. That's my favorite thing for mine. But that's the thing. It's like, if you don't know, even as an adult, it would be good to have questions like that.
Yeah. Also known as adverse childhood experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the younger you are, the more complex the trauma is.
And notice that this one is about emotion, right? So emotion has this much impact on a child. All of these, this really goes to show you that children just don't have the ability to cope with it. So by asking them these questions, it helps them verbalize what their needs are.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting, I watched not a movie, it was like a program on the Gaia channel about children and how they experience trauma. And what was interesting to me is that they don't experience it through emotion, because they don't understand the emotion. They experience it through the environment. It's like they see something happening and then they tag themselves as, I'm not good enough because this is happening. Not, well, I feel sad or scared or whatever that this is happening, because they can't do that. They don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So asking them questions like this helps them to understand that they're okay, you know, that they are good enough. And that, again, that leads into adulthood, the feeling of not good enough when we're in that situation and nobody sat down to talk to us.
Right.
So this will help a lot of people. Okay,
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
think so. Let's move on. So we're going to move on to the M for meals and clothing. So a child is asking the questions here using the card that's developed for the children. So have you had anything to eat and drink today? Now they could be asking another child. They could also be asking a parent or a grandparent or a friend or anybody. So they're asking now if you had anything to eat or drink today. Are you hungry or thirsty? Do you have any clothing to keep you warm or cool? Do you need some more clothes? Do you feel safe to ask for food, water, or clothes? Would you like to get some food, water, or clothes? Would you like me to help you find where to get food or clothes? And would you like an older person to help too? So they might have a family member or something they would like to be involved in that. So let me flip over to the next page. Okay, so now we're on P for physical health. This one's really important for children. How are you feeling today? Well or sick? If you're feeling sick, do you know where? Is there something I can get you so you feel better? Do you need a rest? Are you feeling any pain? Do you have a story about your pain or sickness? Would you like to get help about the pain or sickness? And would you like an older person to help? So this question is important because if a 5-year-old's asking, they're not going to really be able to know where to go get help, right? So this is important for them to be able to ask, would you like an older person to help you? Keeping in mind that they could be 5 years old asking this question. But the questions in here, I mean, do you need a rest? Are you feeling pain? Do you have a story about your pain? That could be really insightful, depending on what they said. Do you have any, you look like you were going to say something.
No, I mean, I was thinking again with the emotion, just like with the adult, the physical and the emotional are working together here, you know, and it's just interesting to see how that fits in with this.
She really put a lot of thought into each of these questions and how they build into, you know, helping that person express what they need. So now we're on I, which is inclusion in the community, the need to be included. Again, this is a child asking these questions. This could be a 5-year-old. It could be a 17-year-old. You know, it's just and anybody can really use this. The cards aren't like restricted, but so under inclusion, are you feeling part of your school group? Are you feeling part of your community, friends and family? Are you feeling included, left out, or lonely? Is there a story behind your feelings? Would you like to feel more included? Do you have any ideas about this? Would you like to explore these ideas? And would you like an older person to help? So this would be a good indication of bullying. And if another child is speaking to another child, that's peer community. You know, that they're building their own little community in their communication to their peer.
Yeah. And I was just going to say something about the bullying too. Like, I'm glad you brought that up. It's like starting at such a young age to recognize that and being able to do something about it, because bullying goes on everywhere. It doesn't matter what age you are.
Can you imagine if kids knew this model and they were treating each other like this in school now? When their generation is older, we'd have a better way of communicating.
Yeah.
So this model really needs to get out there, because that's who we're going to, you know, this is who it'll affect, the children now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I mean, that's the whole point behind this, behind Silent Voices, is we want to be able to give expression to people and not stay silent. And we're doing it for the children, for future generations. You know, it's like they need this. We need this.
Yeah,
I think,
you see here, this one's for the children for ages 5 and up. And for anybody that wants to learn how to do this, you can reach out to us, and you can also visit senpai.net. Here's her website here. We'll also put it on the video to make sure everybody has that, or in the comments. And then we can also help paying it forward by teaching others too. So those that reach out, if we want to do a group session, or if you end up individually, we just want to make sure that we go through the website with them, that they understand the instructions and how, you know, how to not make your own comments in between the questions, just move on to the next question. There's a couple of those things are really important, because you don't want to, you know, make that imbalance again. You want to keep that balance there so that they feel open to talk.
Yeah, I think if anybody has any, you know, questions or considerations or ideas or something, because we're looking at, as we're looking at paying this forward, however we do it, like Don just said something about groups, we're talking about doing different things, but we having feedback or getting information or suggestions or whatever, just to give us ideas on different ways that we can make this all inclusive and not, you know, isolating. and start bringing people in so they can be heard. And again, it's just specifically to be heard. We know, we've been there with this, with your story, very similar, and we understand that piece. And everybody is going through some kind of pain right now, and confusion or anxiety or fear or whatever. And it's all validated, you know, I mean, obviously there's a good reason to feel this way. And wouldn't you like someone to be there to support you through it? You know, so that's what we're here.
Knowing how to communicate definitely would help in a lot of areas. So in order to be able to get a copy of these cards and have them, you can print them out, you can carry them with you, you can give them to your schools, you can give them to your pastors, you can give them to whomever. The only thing you need to do is actually go to senpai.net and create an account so that you can access the downloads, because we don't send them. We're just helping to share that with you. You actually have to get your own copies on the website itself. So, but we would be happy to help and show you how to use the model and go through this again. And you know, you can see this is very simple, and it just takes a little bit of practice, and you start to remember the questions a little more. You get used to asking. You maybe just whip out your card if you feel like you're in a moment that you need it. I mean, right now we never know when we're going to be in that moment. That we find somebody that needs help.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because Alyse, I do remember this, and I think you said a little bit about it, but she actually, doesn't she actually go out to the homeless people in her area in Australia and do these questions to help them? Yeah. So
she goes into the soup kitchens or the shelters, and she sits down with them, and she just starts asking them questions, just to check in with them, see how they're doing. She'll walk in and say, "How's your senpai?" And people respond to her like, so it's,
but that's
the
so
more
amazing.
we talk about it, the more people know what that means.
Right. And her tireless efforts in Australia, and the fact that it's the movement as it's going, around the world, this is something that everyone needs. And I'm just really grateful that she, came up with something like this to help, because people, people don't feel heard. We want to feel heard, and we're here to hear you. So
she spent a lot of time on this to create it, make it just right. And because of our experiences, or because of her experiences, this is what grew out of that, because we wish we had a voice. She wished she had a voice. So that's what started her on this journey, and was able to create this. Is she made it so that we can help others have that voice, which is amazing. Just absolutely amazing.
And I think that's why that's so appropriate to even be in what we're doing, with Silent Voices. And just to make people aware, we just started an Silent Voices on Instagram. So if you're interested in going over there, we're going to be, filtering a lot of our stuff in there. If that's your main thing, is Instagram. But it's the same thing. I just changed the name of the group today. I don't know if Dawn noticed or not.
I saw that. It's actually the same name. It's just displayed now.
Yeah, it's displayed now. I figured might as well do it, because that's the thing. It's like everything that we're doing, everything that's happening, every healing move we make, it's for the children. So when we heal, our DNA heals, our children heal, our future heals, everything heals. So that was the point in making the change with this today here. And so on Instagram, it is at Silent Voices for the Children. So it would be great if we could get more people over there. It's there for, inspiration. You'll see, I put it all on the
yeah, and I was thinking maybe I'll put one up on Twitter as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you can put the link up for the Instagram site, for Instagram, that would be great. And then, I think that we're growing this. We're shifting it based off of what's happening. I guess let's use the word pivot, because that's the new model. We're pivoting.
Time to pivot.
It's time to pivot. So
it is definitely time. We're being told it's time. I mean, this year is telling us time to pivot.
Yeah. So that's what we want to do, and we want to be a safe landing space for healing all this stuff that always comes up for us. And it's not just you, it's us. Trust me. Yeah. So that's all we want. We just want to be here to help heal and grow and connect and love.
Sharing what we can, sharing
share.
what we know, what others know, bringing people on that can share with you what they know.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, there's no one out there that's the ultimate expert on everything. So we are just trying to bring a little bit of what we can to help and eventually spread as much information so we all have knowledge, because knowledge is power.
So, and spread information and spread love.
Spread love. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. We love you. And next week, I'm going to be asking you, how's your senpai?
Yeah, right?
All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.